Hello, friends. Mrs. Taima here. Welcome to part one of your reading lesson today. We have been learning all about the story of Cinderella. Today, in part one with Miss Spears, you are going to dive a little bit deeper into Cinderella's character. Now, we know what happens in the story of Cinderella, and we even practiced retelling this story. Now we're going to look at one character in particular. Like I said, Cinderella. She's the main character, right? So it's really important that we really understand who she is. Now, in part one, Miss Spears is going to read some parts of the text. And you're going to act out, like charades, you're going to act out what Cinderella is doing. Then you're going to think about, based on these actions that Cinderella is doing, what does that tell you about what kind of person she is? What does it tell you about her character, her personality, or what people think about her, or what you think about her? So that is going to be part one. You're going to read 3 different sections and you're going to write a little bit. You're going to just jot some notes in your journal. Then at the end of part one, in your journal, you're going to write a sentence. Now I'm going to show you your options, okay? You can go down here to slide 3, and it says, insert a picture of your sentence you wrote in your notebook about Cinderella, or type it in the box below. Well, you can write it in your notebook, like I said, and take a picture of that. Make sure it's nice and clear so we can read it, so your teacher can read it. Or you can just type right here, Cinderella is blank. Okay, you'll just click right there on that line and start typing. Okay, now obviously that doesn't make sense. You're going to type your own words. Okay, let me show you a trick. If you are typing and it makes that line go crazy, you can then hit the delete button until you get it back to normal. Okay, all right, let me get this back to where it was. There we go. All right, friends, so let's join in with Miss Spears, see what she has to say about Cinderella, and if you agree with her, okay, then I'll meet you back here for part 2. See you soon.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Wit Wisdom in Sync. My name is Tanisha Spears, and I'm so excited to jump into our lesson for today. But before we do, let's make sure you have your materials ready. For this lesson, you will need a copy of the text Cinderella, adapted by Marcia Brown, if you have it. You'll need your Wit Wisdom in Sync journal and a pencil. Pause the video now if you need to gather your materials. In previous work, you had an opportunity to think about the elements of Cinderella's stories. You also thought about why considering evidence to form an opinion is important. And today, you'll continue to think about the importance of evidence when forming an opinion. You will also look closely at characters in the Cinderella text. The question that will frame our learning for today is, what does looking at characters reveal to us? So today you will be looking more closely at the character of Cinderella. In this lesson, you will take a closer look at Cinderella's actions and experiences in the story to see what they reveal about her character. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to listen carefully as I read a little from the text. Cinderella's stepmother gave her the vilest household task. It was Cinderella who scoured the pots and scrubbed the stairs. Cinderella who polished the bedchamber of Madame and also those of her daughters. Now, what I'd like you to do is think about this question. What is Cinderella doing? What is Cinderella doing? Now, I'd like you to quickly act out what Cinderella is doing. Did you act it out? Okay, now what I'd like you to do is use a few words to tell your learning partner or just say aloud what Cinderella is doing in this part of the text. Did you share with your learning partners or just share aloud? I bet you share that Cinderella is cleaning the house in this part of the text. Now, you are going to think about what Cinderella's actions tell us about her character. Take a look at the word on your screen, trait. A trait describes what a character is like. You are going to use your observations about Cinderella's actions to help infer or make a good guess about her character traits. You're going to have an opportunity to figure out what Cinderella is like by looking at what she does and says in this story. So, on page 1, the illustrations and details in the text show that Cinderella washes pots, stairs, and bedchambers. She does a lot of work around the house. From these actions, what can you infer about Cinderella's traits? Meaning, what is Cinderella like? Think. Share with your learning partner or share aloud. You probably said it. These actions show that Cinderella is hardworking, and we can infer from all the chores that Cinderella is doing that she is very hardworking. All right, now you're going to look closely at another one of Cinderella's actions so that you can make an inference about her character. Are you ready? Listen carefully as I read another page from the text. Someone else would have made nests of their heads, but not Cinderella. She was good. She dressed them perfectly. Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to explain to your learning partner or just explain aloud what Cinderella is doing in this part of the text. Did you explain? Okay, now what I'd like you to do is jot down a word or two in your journals to describe what Cinderella is doing. I wonder, did you write a few words to describe that Cinderella is styling her stepsister's hair and helping them get dressed for the ball? Now, on the page that I just read, the illustrations and the details in the text show that Cinderella helps her stepsisters get dressed and look their best for the ball, even though they are mean to her. So from these actions, what can you infer about Cinderella's traits? In other words, what is Cinderella like? Think. Now, jot down a word or two in your journal next to Cinderella's actions to infer what Cinderella is like. Did you jot down a few words? I bet you did. We can infer from the way Cinderella helps her sisters get dressed for the ball that she is kind. So these actions show that Cinderella is kind. Okay, let's look at one more action and make an inference about Cinderella's character. Listen carefully as I read another page from the text. The stepsisters threw themselves at her feet and begged forgiveness for all their bad treatment of her. Cinderella asked them to rise, embraced them, and told them she forgave them with all her heart. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to quickly act out what Cinderella is doing. Did you act it out? Now, what I'd like you to do is jot down a word or two in your journal to describe what Cinderella is doing. Did you jot down a few words to describe how Cinderella is forgiving her stepsisters? Now, on the page that I read, the text tells us that Cinderella forgives her sisters for all the mean things they have done. So from these actions, what can you infer about Cinderella's traits? In other words, what is Cinderella like? Think. Now, jot down a word or two in your journal next to Cinderella's actions to infer what Cinderella is like. Did you jot down a few words? Great. We can infer from Cinderella's words and actions that she is forgiving because these actions show that Cinderella is forgiving of her stepsisters. Okay, let's take a moment to summarize what we've learned about Cinderella's traits so far. We know that her action of cleaning the house shows that Cinderella is hardworking. We know that when she helps her sisters get dressed for the ball, it shows that she is kind. And when she forgives her sisters, it shows that she is forgiving. Nice job examining evidence about Cinderella's actions to infer her character traits. You're now going to share what you discovered about Cinderella in writing. I want you to take a look at the question you see on your screen. What is Cinderella like? Read it this time with me. Ready? Read. What is Cinderella like? You are going to write to complete the sentence frame, Cinderella is, by adding one of Cinderella's traits. Get ready? Pause the video now to write. Did you complete your sentence frame? If not, I encourage you to do so. If you need to, pause the video now to stretch or take a quick break. When you're done, unpause the video.